Your hands are too clean. You didn't burn out. You adapted perfectly. And that's the problem. You succeeded so completely that you forgot what it felt like to struggle. And somewhere in that forgetting, something went quiet. That's what this story is about. 1. The world before. There was once a woodcutter who worked alone in a vast forest. He was not fast. Not at first. His hands blistered in the first week. In the second, he misjudged the grain of an oak, and the blade skipped a long, clean cut across his palm. He wrapped it in cloth and kept working. He made mistakes, many of them. He cut trees that were too young. He chose angles that wasted wood. He hauled timber down paths that added an hour to his day. But in those mistakes in the slowness, the misjudgments, the wrong turns, something was accumulating. He was learning to read the forest, not the trees as objects. The forest as a living system, the way moisture darkened the north face of a trunk. The way a tree leaning 3 degrees east would fall differently than one leaning 4. The way certain wood rang hollow and struck not from rot, but from tension stored over decades. He couldn't have explained how he knew these things. He just knew them. They lived in his hands, in his errors, in the years of getting it wrong. By the time he had worked the forest for a decade, younger woodcutters would come to him with questions he had never been formally taught to answer. And somehow he always had an answer. He didn't know it then. But he was not just a woodcutter. He was the knowledge. 2. The arrival of the machine. Then the systems came. First, better blades, then mechanical saws, then AI systems that could analyze a tree's density, calculate the optimal cut angle, and instruct a worker exactly where to place the blade for maximum yield and minimum waste. The woodcutter adapted quickly. He was intelligent. He saw the efficiency. He embraced it. His output tripled in the first year. He no longer misjudged grain. The system told him the grain. He no longer chose wrong paths. The system mapped the paths. The small, expensive errors that had once cost him hours gone. His numbers were the best in the region. He was asked to train new workers. He thought he had improved. Nothing seemed lost at the time. His hands healed completely. Smooth, unmarked, clean. 3. The morning of the question. One morning, a young woodcutter approached him at the edge of the forest. She had been working for 3 months, precise with the system. Her numbers were good, but she had noticed something, a tree near the eastern ridge, that the system had flagged for harvest, yet something felt wrong. She couldn't explain it. The system had no answer for what she was sensing. She had a question the system couldn't answer. She asked him, "How do you read a tree? Not the data, the tree itself." He opened his mouth and stopped. He stood at the edge of the forest he had worked for 20 years. The morning light came through the canopy the way it always had. The smell of pine and damp earth was exactly as he remembered it. He looked at the nearest tree and realized he had not truly looked at a tree. Not really, not with the old attention in a very long time. He searched himself for the answer, for the accumulated knowledge of 10,000 mornings in this forest, for the thing that used to live in his hands. It was not there. Not gone exactly, more like buried, quiet in a way that felt permanent. The machine had been answering that question for years, efficiently, correctly, every time, and so he had stopped asking it himself. He had optimized the question out of his own mind. "Use the system," he said finally. "It's more accurate than instinct." She nodded and walked away. He stood there for a long time after she left. His output that day was the highest it had ever been. He felt nothing, not even the absence of it. And if the system failed tomorrow, he realized he would not know what to do. 4. What was lost? This is not a story about technology. The machine was not wrong. The optimization was real. The wood was cut well. But here is what the numbers did not measure. The woodcutter had once been a man who could walk into a forest and know things, who had built, through years of error and correction, a form of understanding that existed nowhere else, not in any system, not in any model trained on the outputs of other woodcutters. It existed in him. And the moment he stopped needing it, stopped exercising. It stopped being wrong in ways that required him to grow. It began slowly to dissolve. Not dramatically, not all at once. The way a path disappears when no one walks it anymore. He had not burned out. He had been relieved of the demand. And in being relieved of the demand, he had been relieved of himself. The question we leave behind. When was the last time you were wrong and learned something from it? Not wrong in a way that was fixed by a system. Not corrected before you felt it. Wrong in a way that cost you something. That required you to sit with the failure long enough to change. What part of your thinking have you stopped using? We are building systems that remove our errors before we can learn from them. In the age of AI, this is happening faster than we can see. One small thing. Tomorrow. Do one thing the slow way, on purpose, not because it is efficient. It isn't. Write one email without AI. Take the longer route. Sit with a problem for 10 minutes before searching for the answer. Because somewhere in that difficulty and the friction, the uncertainty, the possibility of being wrong, something is still being built in you. Something no system can build for you. Something that lives only in the doing.